Well, hey neighbors, welcome to the Shed Shop. In this episode, we're going to be showing you a continuation of the 025 MS250 series. But hey neighbors, unfortunately, this 025 is sold. I sold this to Timber Brothers. Some new neighbors I met today. Thank you, neighbor Davey and neighbor Blake of Timber Brothers. Hey, they just started a tree service, neighbors. They went and bought a brand new MS180, and they just trusted and took a chance. And they went out and did their first job today. And guess what? I let them dump their waste here. Why not? I need logs. They need a place to get rid of their waste, and I want wood chips. And so I told my neighbors, hey, all your brush is a mess. It's going to pile up fast. But I trust, neighbors, that you're hardworking young men. Neighbor Davey, neighbor Blake of Timber Brothers. Thank you, neighbors. I'm going to let you watch me fix your saw. And hey, listen, neighbors, I'm going to tell you something. I've learned my lesson. I'm done. I used an impact for years. For years, neighbors. I'll still use it. It was $100. It's a good tool. But when in doubt, throw your impact out, damn it. Because I'm breaking shit with it. No more, neighbors. No more. We're going to trust the king. And we're going to go to Lowe's tomorrow. And we're going to buy a drill with the money we just made for this chainsaw. And we're going to say, who cares, neighbors? We want to do it right. No more impact. I don't think that's what broke that flywheel on their MS310 they're supposed to get tomorrow instead of this one. But if it was human error, I don't have time to keep making mistakes, neighbors, because you're keeping me so busy. And so, hey, listen, if you're here right now, there is going to be a story a little bit with some of these chainsaws, okay? I want this channel to be personable, support me, and so I want to support them. This video is for them to see their saw get worked on, and I hope you can learn from it. I will do my best. I'm going to give you some tricks on the gaskets, okay? Remember, neighbors, air leaks are not our friends, and bad gaskets cause air leaks. Air leaks are not good neighbors. They seek, kill, and destroy your saw. Don't let them do it, neighbors. There's certain corners we can cut with redneck ingenuity, and there's some we can't. But this is one, neighbors. I got a trick for you if you're in the middle of the woods. And I'm going to show you in the video when we get to that part, okay? If you don't have a gasket or can't make a gasket, I'm going to show you what's important to making your own gasket on this carburetor in this video. That's the biggest education I want to give you out of this video. But the main thing is, neighbors, I had feedback on a video that a video for a neighbor was not educational enough. And I sent him a link. We had an MS170 we rebuilt that was strictly educational. And so I hope that helped him. I'm so sorry, neighbor, that I don't remember your name. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired. But I'm going to keep persevering. We will not give up. We will not quit. We will keep on fighting. We're going to keep going, neighbors. We had an amazing day today, neighbors. So many neighbors came to the shed shop today. After they saw me saying GD on the internet, they still let me fix their stuff. They still left it with me. I got a beautiful story about neighbor Jeff I want to tell you. It's beautiful. When I get his saw, I'm going to diagnose it in front of you. You know what? We're redeeming it as long as it's not ridiculously expensive, but it looks like a brand new piston. And so as long as everything on the motor is good, we're gonna fully be able to redeem that saw for you. It's an MS250, neighbors. Okay? And I sent Jeff my footage. And I said, hey, listen, neighbor, you got to watch this before I can take your stuff and agree to work on it. Okay? And he did, and he still brought me his stuff. Thank you, neighbor Jeff. Okay? Y'all stay tuned, because I'm still going to give shit away. I know it's messy to give away, but just try, neighbors. As long as you put in a good effort to my messy instructions and my messy videos, I'm going to give his stuff away. I'm going to give it to the person that puts the effort forth. And then if more people than one put the effort forth, if I find out my instructions weren't clear enough, because I know they're messy, I've heard them. But to me, they make sense. I can still follow it as long as I watch both videos. But that's a lot of time, neighbors. I know time's the most valuable thing you got. Okay, so if you don't want to hang out and watch me build this saw, go watch the educational videos, neighbors. But this one's going to have a little bit of story. I'm going to tell you about these young men that came to my house while I let them see their saw redeemed. This is their saw. They bought it. They've paid for it. And they need it tomorrow. We already had our top end installed. We had our flywheel installed. I did put the tank vent on. And remember, neighbors, I buy aftermarket. But let me tell you something. You don't want plastic. It's garbage. The fuel line that comes on those things, it's garbage. It's plastic. It's terrible. When in doubt, throw it out. We don't want that garbage. We go to Husqvarna. We buy OEM fuel line. You only need a little piece, neighbors. It's only like $4 a foot. It cost me that cost me 50 cents, neighbor. $1 maybe. I don't remember what I paid. It's not that much, neighbor. So I'll put the good stuff on your saw because I love you, neighbor. Thank you so much, neighbors. Neighbors Davey and neighbors Blake and neighbors Jeff and neighbors Chris and neighbor Derek. All my neighbors that were here today for the shed shop. and just talking and making deals. Okay? Redeeming each other's stuff, meeting fellow tinkerers. This is what this channel is about, neighbors. I want to build community. And all I got is my 2 hands working on chainsaws and some redneck stuff. Okay, neighbors? I might redneck some stuff. I'm going to show you in the future one of the ways these mufflers are famous for leaking along the seam. I'm going to give you the solution. Okay, it's a redneck fix. I've done it on saws that I've sold as refurbished. I just tell the neighbor, hey, this is what I did. Most neighbors don't care. They trust me. I can't believe you neighbors trust me so much. I'm not an expert. I taught myself all this stuff. Yet y'all think I know what I'm doing. Thanks, neighbors, that you think I know what I'm doing on these chainsaws. We're going to keep redeeming them, neighbors. And we're going to redeem community. I believe it. So I'm going to turn you over to the bench. I'm going to continue to tell you about the brothers that I met today. And I'm going to fix their saw. Finish fixing their saw. That wasn't their saw yet. I told you, neighbors, these are your saws that I'm fixing. You just haven't bought them yet. Okay, neighbors, you want me to finish one for you? Just comment down below. Tell me. I want one. $325, neighbors. Okay? If you're in the local community, come to the shed shop. I might give you a better price. Depends on the story. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a good story. You want to come tell me a lie for a story? Fine. That's okay. I'll still give you a good price, neighbor. And if you lied to me and I find out, I'll say, I forgive you, neighbor. Damn it, you did me dirty, but I forgive you, damn it. That's the point. Let's redeem this saw, neighbors, and see what we can learn. Okay. You can go back to other videos, neighbors, and I explained to you about how the 025 and the MS250 have different porting. And thank you, neighbor Chris, today for explaining to me that it's called quad ports. And neighbor Chris, if you watch this, if I got that wrong, because I know I had to ask you like 6 times, can you remind me? And the other one just has dual transfers, dual transfer ports. Okay? Hey, neighbor Blake, neighbor Davey, you got a 42.5 millimeter top end on your 025. Okay, neighbors, go watch the video. It's been measured, but everyone that has the setup where it could have been manufactured for a decon valve, so far, every one I've had in the shop is 42.5. When they don't have that, and their OEM aftermarkets don't count for this, when they don't have that and their OEM steel, they've all been 42. Now, when you find an exception, neighbors, please tell us. Please, because we won't want to get false information out. All right, so, again, folks, we've got a lot of stuff on this saw done already, okay? I've got the clutch on. I've got the flywheel on. So that means we've already got a worm gear installed, and that would have stopped on another video. And so what I'd like to do right now is I'm looking at this saw, and I think, boy, if I put the muffler on, is it going to be in my way? And I think it might be, because I've got this to contend with. Oh, look at that, neighbors. We got to replace that. See? We didn't even notice that. I did you dirty, neighbors. I'm so sorry, neighbors. See? I should have been prepared. I should have seen that, neighbors. I should have seen it. They were always melted. I should have known, neighbors. But watch this. No big deal. We just pop that out of there. And we grab another one. Hey, listen. If you need tree service, I want you to give our neighbors Blake and our neighbor Chris, or Davey. I'm so sorry, neighbor. Our neighbor Davey, a chance, okay? Give them a call. They're going to put their information down below because this is their saw. Neighbor Derek. I keep getting your names wrong. So many neighbors were here today. Neighbor Davey, neighbor Blake, if you want people to call you, I know it's a small channel, but guess what? We got loving neighbors here. If they're local, they should call you and give you a chance. Put your information how they can get a hold of you to get their trees cut with this 025, your MS310, and your MS180. Okay, neighbors? We're going to do their 310 on the channel too, but guess what? We sheared the flywheel today. Or not the flywheel, the crankshaft broke. It's very rare. I've never broken a crankshaft. I've never broken a crankshaft with an impact. Never. I've never had a crankshaft break like that. But you know what it is, neighbors? It is what it is. I can't control it. It's up to the king of the universe. Okay, so now that I've got that in, I think if I had my muffler in there, it would be out of my way. We got a brand new muffler gasket. Okay, so it's going to be your heat shield first, neighbors. Then your muffler gasket. Okay, not very hard. Just make sure it's turned the right way. Okay, look at that. Lines up. Whole exhaust port is open. Now watch. I might regret. I might have to repent. I might put this muffler in, and it might be backwards. But you know what, neighbors? I'm tired, and I promised my neighbors I'd have them their saw tomorrow. And so I'm going to do everything I can within my power to make sure this saw is ready for them tomorrow. Because they're supposed to get their 310, and their crankshaft broke. And so now with Permatex, their saw cannot be ready tomorrow. They're at 310. So we give them this one, neighbors. Get them ready. Okay, some of these mufflers have washers, some do not. These have this plate. We're going to put the spark arrestor in, and then they'll decide if we're going to delete it or not. So for now, because it's supposed to be on a saw, we'll go ahead and put it there. By the way, neighbor Davey and neighbor Blake, I did order you new aftermarket mufflers for both of your saws because I simply haven't had time to paint mufflers, and I forgot. I gave neighbor John a $10 discount, and I know we came up with an agreement on price, but I forgot to give you your $10 off also on top of that because I don't have mufflers that are painted. And so, listen neighbors, be careful if you do what I do. I know how these need to go together. These mufflers here, they tend to leak at the seams, so I do a little bit of hammer tapping on them in certain places, and so that's why that didn't just slide right over. Normally it would, but in this case it didn't. Okay, 8 mil here on your muffler bolts, and I am going to go ahead and put them tight all the way, just in case I don't have to take this back off. I don't want to forget. I think we'll be okay. I don't think it will be in our way. And it's a steel, neighbor, so don't forget, all your specs are going to be good and tight. All your specifications for how tight you tighten your stuff. Just turn your torque wrench, torque screwdriver, to good and tight, and you're good to go. All your stuff will be tightened at the proper torque. Just do good and tight. That's what I do, neighbors, good and tight. We're going to do a saw on here eventually, neighbors. I'm going to show you every single step you got to take to do it exactly by the service manual that Steel tells you to do it. I'm going to tell you how a gold mechanic would have to do it. I'm not a gold mechanic. I've never been certified. Okay, neighbors? Never. I don't know. I just know how they would do it. Now, next thing I want to do is I've got to get my coil on, okay, because that's got to feed through this. My tank vent's there. This is there. My impulse boot is there, or my intake boot is there. And I've got my impulse hose. Remember, neighbors, you can do it both ways, but this way is probably going to be easier since I don't have my stuff here. But I do have to put my coil on because my wires have got to feed through. It's going to be much easier to contend with if this is not in the way. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our coil on. Now the wiring on this, you cannot find it in anything that I've looked at specifically. It's a little confusing. I wish there was a YouTube video on it because I always forget the wiring on the coils. But on John Luna's, I just kind of went with my better judgment and figured it out because I don't have this service manual, neighbors. I have a lot of service manuals, but not this one. And all the coils are wired a little bit different. I can honestly say, I won't tell you I have knowledge that I don't. I can honestly say I'm not 100% sure. I just basically know there's got to be an open and closing of the connection, okay, that causes the spark. And so if you get that basic aspect right, you'll be good to go, neighbors, okay? Okay, neighbors, the wiring is going to go like this, okay? I want to show you. Let me make sure you can see here. And I'm showing you because this is how these diagrams are hard to understand if you look at them, even in the service manual, okay? So you're going to have this black wire on your 025 coil, and it seems weird, but yes, it just circles right around right there. This wire is going to go over here and bolt to your cylinder, okay, neighbors? And then these two are going to go up by your handle, and you're also going to have this one bolted to your cylinder. Okay, neighbors, I'm going to show you as soon as I get it installed. Okay, neighbors, now that we've got our coil in, again, I would like you to always listen to me, neighbors, please. I can get facts wrong. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I tell you errors. I try to always correct that, okay? But the thing is, this wiring, it's the best I can figure out. It works on the chainsaws. Okay, neighbors, now that we've got our coil installed, I'm going to go ahead and set my air gap. Now, you can use a business card. Look, neighbors, you can use one of these. Hey, check that out. Isn't that pretty? Let's give credit to Vistaprint. I'm not getting paid, but you know what? They're doing a good job, neighbors, so they deserve for me to say they helped me make this business card. And they gave me a really good deal. If you want a code to get a discount, I'm pretty sure I have one. Just ask me in the comments below, neighbors. We're gonna try and get Timber Brothers some business cards ordered from Vistaprint, because Vistaprint's doing a good job. And Timber Brothers has got to be able to give all our neighbors business cards so y'all can let them come cut your trees and help them grow their business and gain their independence, because they're hardworking young men, it looks like. Okay, now that I got I use my air gap setter. I got it in there, 20 thous. That's what most air gaps on steel chainsaws are. Most small engines, 20 thou is going to work for you most time. Remember, neighbors, verify that fact. I seen people when I was looking how to do vinyl gutters, because I've never done vinyl. I've done aluminum. I've done all kinds of different stuff, but they got these vinyl gutters out. And I was watching YouTube. And damn it, hey neighbors that are telling people to silicone their corners and stuff in their joints at their downspouts. No, that's bad information, neighbors. Don't do it. You're a bad neighbor. You watched somebody else's video that was wrong and then you copied it. I saw like 7 people did the same exact video. You don't do it, neighbors. There's got to be expansion and contraction of a couple of inches on those 35-foot runs you were doing. I'm glad I checked your facts, neighbors. I'm glad I went on the manufacturer website. Okay, neighbors, I'm not perfect. I might make mistakes and verify whatever I tell you. I'm not certified mechanic, neighbors. I'm just a guy that's staying sober, working on your chit. Thank you for keeping me sober, neighbors. Thank you so much that I'm not on drugs because you let me work on your chit. Thank you, neighbors. You make my life better. That's why I tell y'all you make my life better. You keep me sober, damn it, by loving me. Even though I'm not perfect. Damn it. Neighbor Blake. Neighbor Davey. Crazy Davey. I told him I guess I'll have to call you Crazy Davey to remember your name. Okay, we're going to put your top handle on now, neighbors. And I'm going to show you. There's quite a bit of stuff to contend with over here. Okay, lots of stuff. Hey, just so you know, neighbors, real quick. This part, this is a cold shield. Listen, in this position, okay, look, it's pretty simple. It tells you. This is important. You can blow your saw up. Listen, this one should tell you. We got a snowflake. We got the sunshine, right? Okay, listen. Look at that. Look at that. What's that do? That prevents heat from coming down here, right? But, neighbors, listen. The problem is, if it's cold outside, we need more heat to come to our carburetor compartment. We got to turn that around. Pretty much every steel chainsaw nowadays has one of those. Different types. Neighbors, that's it. So, now, first thing we want to do, we're going to have that rubber grommet. See, neighbors, I told you that muffler was going to come back to bite me. I knew it. I knew it. But I'm going to shimmy it in there anyways, because I'm good. I know what I'm doing. See that, neighbors? I got it in there. Okay, now, I'm just going to grab that rubber carefully, because we don't want to rip it. We got more, but we don't have to replace them. They cost money. Chainsaw Redeemer doesn't have all kinds of money. He's poor. But he's rich in spirit, even though it doesn't seem like it on a boob tube. I am. Wait until I get the Unkdooskies loaded. He said this attitude recently, even though he don't like the cursing and the GDs, that it's bringing a smile to his heart and his soul. It's not like a normal smile. He said his soul's been smiling. It's beautiful, darn it. Okay, neighbors, you got lots to contend with. All right. Your spark plug wire stays up there. We just don't want to hook it up yet. Okay, remember this grommet is always easier if you feed it through it first and install it from the other side. So both wires have got to go through this hole right here. Okay, neighbors? I got to speed it up, neighbors. I'm very tired and there's very much to do. I got lots of saws to build. Your tank vent, which I lost the cover to. Did you dirty? Did you dirty tank vent? It's got to be spun a certain way. The tank vent allows air in and not out. It helps your pressure in your tank be equal to the atmospheric pressure inside your sorry neighbors, inside your okay, I'm working my impulse hose where it needs to be. The tank vent helps equalize the atmospheric pressure inside your tank and outside of your tank. And that's what helps keep your tank essentially what's called pressurized. Okay, I'm just working this impulse through the hole on the shroud here. I'm so sorry, neighbors. This is not a super educational video. This is for the Timber Brothers. Darn it. Timber Brothers Blake and Davey, who were good neighbors today. They spent money at the shed shop. And I want their business to grow. I want us to support them. Listen, neighbors, if they come out and they don't do a good job, tell me. I'll tell them, don't do your neighbor dirty. Do a better job. I gave you good chainsaws so you could help people. I didn't give them to them. They paid for them. Okay, neighbors, I'm just working this fuel hose on, or this impulse hose on. It's not always easy. But it's easier for me if I do it this way usually, if my starter's not on. I just have to take my time so we don't rip it. Okay? Make sure it's seated all the way. It's beautiful. This is an aftermarket impulse hose. Remember, neighbors, don't ever use impulse boots that are aftermarket unless you find a good one. I've yet to find one that I trust. I will not use an aftermarket boot unless I find one that I feel is good quality. Alright, so we got our wires through. We got our impulse hose hooked up. And as we get stuff hooked up, it gets tighter. And it can get harder to work this stuff around where you need it. One thing you can do is not let your boot get stuck under your handle like I just did, neighbors. Get this out of your way, neighbors. I shouldn't have put that back on, neighbors. I'm teaching you bad stuff, neighbors. I'm so sorry. I repent. Okay, fuel hose has got to come up through. Remember, new aftermarket fuel hose. I'm sorry, this one's actually OEM, I think. No, wait. That's their 310 that has OEM. This is aftermarket, but it's good quality aftermarket, neighbors, okay? It's good quality aftermarket. I don't like using cheap aftermarket. I don't want to do you dirty, neighbors. Because I love you, damn it. They're everywhere. Thank you, neighbors Derek and neighbor Chris. Thank you, neighbors, for making that trade. And let me take your headache off your hands since you don't have space like me. Thank you, neighbors. Make sure you let me know how that 372 turns out for you. If that top end was roached or not. We had a seized. We thought it might be a bearing. I don't know. But it had lots of good, expensive parts on it. So they wanted it. They can fix that saw sooner than I can. That saw shouldn't sit on a shelf. So I told them. I said, neighbors, I'm scared. That's why I can't sell you that 310. That's why I can't trade that 310. But now, neighbors, you know why, neighbors? Because the 310 was meant for the Timber Brothers. That's why fear got me. The King of the Universe, 828. Right? Everything's going to work out for good, neighbors. We just love one another. That's all we got to do. Love one another. I don't care what you believe, neighbors. I really don't. Not right now. All I care about is loving you. Damn it. That's it. I just want you to feel love. This grommet's beating me up. Got it. Okay. Get our impulse hose through. All right. Here comes the educational stuff. And in just a second, neighbors, I'm going to show you. I'm going to teach you. Now, please understand, I've done a lot of these. Be careful. Take your time. And I am taking my time on this one because I don't want to have to undo stuff. They need this saw tomorrow. They have to have it because that was our deal. It was supposed to be the other one. But I called neighbor Blake and I said, I did you dirty. I didn't tell him I used the impact yet. That's going to be on confessions at the parts washer. I didn't tell him. It sheared while I was using the impact because I had the camera paused. So I can't even show you guys my mistake. I'm so sorry, neighbors. Did you dirty. Okay, listen, neighbors. I want to tell you something about gaskets real quick, okay? Air leaks back here. They cause your saw to have blowback. That means it's running lean and hot and not getting enough, excuse me, neighbors, and not getting enough lubrication. The problem with that is, neighbors, then it blows up on you. And then you got to pay me to fix it. But I'm trying to show y'all how to fix your own stuff. So that the only time you have to pay me is when you don't have time to do it yourself. Okay? But the thing is, this gasket, it's not your friend, neighbors. It's ripped. It could be a leak back there. Cause you problems. Blow your saw up. This one's not your friend. This one could still be your friend. But I wouldn't reuse it. Now, I made my own. But Matthew, we saw in the 041 video you was knocking those homemade gaskets. Yeah, because they was cut terrible, darn it. I'm so sorry, neighbor Nathan, that they did you dirty. But guess what? You're going to love this. I'm telling y'all right now, something I'm going to be giving away in the future. I'm giving shit away. It's a steel 041 made in Germany model. I'm going to fix it on the channel. And I already got the number in my head, how many subscribers we're going to have to reach to give that one away. And all you're going to have to do is follow that series when I rebuild that saw to be entered to win that saw. No obligations besides that. I'm going to ship it to you 100%. And it's going to be warranted. So stick around, neighbors. We're giving shit away on this channel. Okay? Now, it's important to think. Why does this have 4 holes, plus 2 bolt holes, plus a hole in the center? I don't know, neighbors, because it's made for a bunch of different carburetors. This has a lot of applications. Why does mine only have 1 hole? Well, neighbors, that's because the only hole you need is your impulse right here. That hose we just hooked up. That's what that hole is. Okay, neighbors, and if you look at your carburetor and the way it gets installed, look, we've got our high-low jets here, our choke lever here, so our carb goes this way. We only need one of those holes to be functional. Which one, you say? Which one, neighbor? Well, listen, neighbors. That goes like that, right? Maybe. Sorry, neighbors, that might not be the right one. It's just the same shape. Okay? Well, neighbors, give me a minute here. I'm sorry, neighbors. I did you dirty. That's wrong. Damn it. This is going to be an edit. Why am I so... Oh, I know why, neighbors, because I'm looking at it wrong. Okay, neighbors, the important thing is this carburetor is going to be installed like this, okay? So, this is the side we have to think about. This is going to go on these bolts in that little hole right here, neighbors. This this little hole right here. Boy, I don't know what the camera sees. I better make sure you can see me. Okay. This little hole right here, neighbors, has to go on this here saw. And it's going to line up right there with that hole, neighbors. Okay. That's called your impulse. That causes your diaphragms, your pump diaphragm, and your carburetor to work. And so this gasket only needs one hole. But it's very important you line it up right. This gasket's going to go that way. See? Okay, that's the only thing, neighbors. That's the only hole exposed. These other three on this carburetor are not necessary. The important thing when you make your gasket, you want to make sure the center is accurate. You want to make sure your bolt holes are big enough so it doesn't rip. And you want to make sure this hole is completely open. X-Acto knife, neighbors. I got shaky hands, and it takes me forever to do this, but guess what? I can't even get gaskets from Steel right now because their website's down and they don't have gaskets in stock. Isn't that silly, neighbors? 3 Steel dealers, 3, don't have this gasket. Shame on them. Bad neighbors, hackers, making it hard for us to get parts, fix my neighbor's stuff. It's okay, we forgive you, we love you, neighbors. Neighbor hackers that hack Steel. Okay, so what I like to do is take my time and line this up and make sure it's not going to rip. I like to seat it all the way, neighbors. And it can be difficult. Even your new gasket, you just don't want to rip it. I don't want to have to make a new one. This took me like an hour. So I have to be careful. Take my time. Make sure I go on a little bit at a time. And then I'm going to push it all the way back. And now I feel safe that it's going to be okay, neighbors. That's a good gasket. My opening's all the way. It's right. Okay. Now, what if you're in the middle of the woods? Or what if you're like me and you can't get the gasket because some hacker neighbors have hacked Steel? Guess what? I got a trick for you, neighbors, and I'm going to show you right now. But I'm going to do it on a different carburetor, I think. I had another one here for you. And I did you dirty, neighbors. Here it is. Okay, so this is our side, and our gasket would be like this. Well, guess what you can do, neighbors, if you have a tube of some gasket sealant. Okay? Gasket dressing, gasket sealant. If you're able to get this, neighbors, you can sometimes reuse these gaskets. I only recommend this, neighbors, if you have to, if you're in a pinch. Like if I couldn't make a gasket, I'd just let my neighbors know on this video, hey, I'm going to go ahead and coat this way, but we'll replace it when Steel gets back up because your saw's going to run great and cut some trees and make you money, okay, Timber Brothers? Neighbors, go down in the comments and say, hey, neighbor Timber Brothers, come cut my trees. Give them some business. Give them a chance. They're young men just trying to gain independence and work hard, and I think we should support them because they're good neighbors. They're not perfect neighbors, neither am I, neighbors. None of us are. But if we're being good neighbors, let's say we're being good neighbors. And if we're being bad neighbors, let's tell each other we're being bad neighbors, damn it, and just be better neighbors. Okay? Let's love one another, damn it, that's all. So I would tell them, I love you, neighbor. I'm going to do this to your gasket. So you could, you guys, you could take this and you could coat it. But here's the important thing. It's very, 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 very important, neighbors. Don't do yourself dirty. You have to make sure you don't cover that hole, okay? And I wouldn't even bother trying to cover those. They're not important. They're covered up by the gasket. But so you just put this on your gasket like that. And yes, I'm wasting it. Of course I am. We're not going to use this. But I want to show you neighbors' tricks. Redneck ingenuities, okay? Very carefully. That's all you would do, neighbors, okay? And then it's probably better to go ahead, make sure you have it facing the right way, slide your gasket on, and then put your carburetor against it. Or I like to, because I know I can be careful, and I've done it more than once and had practice, I like to make sure everything's going to be okay. So I will line it up perfectly with my bolt holes exactly where it needs to be, neighbors. And I'll just hold that on there for about 30 seconds. I'll move my fingers so they don't get stuck. And then look, if that was my hole over here, I'd be in trouble. But I got no gasket maker there, and so I'm good. And so guess what, neighbors? I might not have an air leak. Okay, and if my saw's not blowing gas out the back of the carburetor, then this is good to go. Okay, neighbors, that's one trick. But we're not going to do that. We made a gasket, and we took our time, and we did it right. We used an X-Acto knife. We made it perfect. It's not perfect, but you know what, neighbors? It's excellent for the condition. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install our carburetor. We're just going to set it on there for now. We're not going to hook everything up because we want to look at our saw and see what else we got going on to contend with. We've hooked up that wire. We're going to have our lever to hook up. We're going to have our recoil to put on. We got our brake parts to put together. We've got to put a sprocket on. We got a brand new OEM sprocket for you neighbors, okay? Brand new. It's nice and shiny. I'm going to show you. Where is it? Where's your sprocket, neighbors? Look at this. That's aftermarket. These boys paid OEM price. Look at that. Beautiful, neighbors. Okay. Brand new. Okay. OEM. I love it. Thank you, neighbors, for keeping me sober and letting me tinker on your chit. Good neighbors. Thanks for buying my stuff. Being good neighbors. Keeping me sober. Every time I tell the king, I'm scared to spend money, king. I don't want to. Somehow somebody comes over and buys something. Every time. How does that work? I don't know. I'll just trust. Darn it. Okay. All right. I think we can. Go ahead. I've got this to go on, and I wanted to show you guys how this works. Okay. This is a safety trigger, and this spring is going to end up hooking there, but we've got to get this turned the right way. So we're going to hold this up out of the way, and we're just going to get it turned the right way. Okay, one of these days I'm going to give you a very detailed video on how to do this. But right now, my neighbor's got to have their saw, okay? So we're only doing a little bit. This video is for 2 people right now. It's for the Timber Brothers. This neighbor's, okay? Now on these, you will have a small screw, and it clips in. Okay? I'm sorry, grabbed the wrong one. It is a T27 head screw. My nose itches, neighbors, I'm sorry. Okay. Try this again, neighbors. Put that up in there. Oh, I did you dirty. Loctite. I didn't do Loctite, neighbors. I'm so sorry. I'm a bad neighbor. Bad neighbor. Let's fix that right away. I'm going to put their saw together without Loctite. It's a working saw. This saw is going to be running hard and heavy because all our neighbors are going to support you, Timber Brothers. They're going to give you a chance, and as long as you don't do them dirty, they're going to give you more chances and more business. And they're going to tell other neighbors, hey, you got to call the Timber Brothers. They're doing good work. They got good running saws. And then you got to tell them, hey, we found out where they got their saws. They got them from the shed shop. This guy's building saws on the internet, letting you see when he does you dirty and repenting. Okay, neighbors, my Loctite's doing me dirty right now. Doing me dirty, Loctite. How could you do this to me? Loctite, you're being a bad neighbor, Loctite. You don't make my life easier. Now I got to do a bunch of editing. Darn it. Wasn't supposed to happen that way. Darn it. It's messy. It's okay, neighbors. We don't want the dust in it, but we don't mind if it's a little bit difficult to get on there. You don't need much. We're just using, this is just insurance right now. We don't want stuff rattling out. These guys are going to cut a lot of trees down for you, neighbors. Trim your trees, cut your trees down, move your trees. I don't know what all they do. They just said they're cutting trees. They're like me. They don't want to work for the man. Okay. That's done, neighbors. Now, back here, we got a few things to contend with. Okay, we could have our wrap handle on, steady this out better. But I think we'll be okay. We got to go ahead and hook our fuel hose up. Now, this one's going to slide right on for me. But if you have trouble, little spit, neighbors. Homemade press oil. Okay, it's going to evaporate. And then, we got to get a shut-off switch. Hey, buddies, I'm going to give you red. Why not? Okay, instead of black. Be unique. Old school style. That's going to slide right in there. Okay. This just plugs in right here. And then, you just want to very carefully work it into this groove here. Just like that, okay? And then we got to check it, make sure it works. Okay, that part works. Okay, great. Now we're going to need our throttle lever and our choke lever, okay? Throttle lever, you're just going to hook it on your carburetor. Right like that. Push it forward. I like to hold it here because it doesn't twist on you as much. And as I say, it's going to twist on me. I pull my trigger to get this groove up. And you guys can see this better in other videos I've done on this series. Okay, there's that. Okay, that's all working so far. Next, throttle lever. Pretty easy, neighbors. It just slides in right here. Okay, I believe you've got to go in front of the wire. I always do things backwards this way sometimes. And there's a reason I didn't bolt my carburetor down, because this is much easier to get this throttle lever in if you pull your carburetor back just a little bit, slide it in, and then push your carburetor forward. I've fought with many of those before I figured that trick out. Okay, neighbors? Now we're going to check everything again, even though it's not bolted down. Okay, we've got full choke. That's good. One click up, and then when we pull our trigger, we lose all choke, okay? Okay, neighbors, there we go. Oops. Okay, great. And it lets go. Okay. Okay, neighbors, I forgot a piece. So we're going to go backwards because we want to do it right. You got to have this washer in there. So that's going to go in. And you can see the lip. And I like to just always put the steel logo up in the top right. And that way I know it's okay. So we'll put that in. We'll make sure it fits inside our boot, because we want it to be set inside there properly. And I see this one setting a little weird, and I don't like it. I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. Now I like it. I think we won't have an air leak. Remember, neighbors, air leaks are not our friends. They're not good neighbors. Air leaks seek, kill, and destroy your chainsaw. Don't let air leaks happen. Bring your stuff to the shed shop, and we'll diagnose it and do preventative maintenance for you. Very cheap. But you get good service. And if you want it on the boob tube so you can see it, we'll do it. Okay, now we got our gasket in. We see our hole. It's all the way open around our intake. That's beautiful. That's wide enough. We're not blocking any fuel or airflow there. Okay, neighbors? Now a carburetor can go back on. I'm so sorry, neighbors. I hope this came out edited good. I hope I do a good job editing my mistakes. All right, let's try this again, neighbors. Now we're going to take our throttle lever, lift your spring up over here, your kill switch spring, flat spring it's called, I think. Switch, I don't know. I don't remember. Sorry, neighbors, I'm not perfect. I'm trying for you. We'll get better, I promise. We will not give up. We will persevere. We will do better. I promise you. Just stick with us, neighbors. Stick with me and the king. Don't go nowhere. I don't give a shit if you don't believe in the king. That's okay. Nobody cares right now. We just want to love you and give you shit. Like a 041. Made in Germany model. Just because Nathan's story touched me. Thank you, Nathan Bolton, for caring about your daddy's chainsaw, because it makes you feel good. And making me buy a chainsaw to fix on a channel and give away for free in the future. But we're going to have to hit a high number of subscribers for that one. It's going to hang there teasing you guys for a while, I think. Okay, now that we got that on, neighbors, everything's working good. We'll hold our carburetor. Just check our stuff real quick one more time. Okay, our throttle's still open a quarter way, about halfway. I don't even know. I thought it was always more than that. Maybe not. I was wrong. Okay, there we go. That's all functioning properly. Everything works. One click up. Boom. Release. Perfect. Hey, mosquito, you're not being a good neighbor. Okay, get that out of here. Look, see that, neighbors? That's sealed. But the problem is, look at that. You could, potentially, if that doesn't all seat together, have that sit. And then when you're, when that sits against your shield, it's not going to sit right. That's going to twist in more. And then you might have air leak out over here. I've seen it happen, neighbors. Make sure you use extra if you have it. Just don't get your impulse hose plugged up. All right, guess what, neighbors? Now I'd like to go ahead and I'd like to put the chain brake stuff up together. And so I've done videos on that, and to save time, I'm just going to install it as fast as I can. Oh, neighbors, I did you dirty. I can't get flat springs. Your chain brake handle is going to mess you up. I don't think these are going to work. They haven't been working. They're too loose. So sorry, neighbors. Did you dirty. Turn it. Okay, I got most of the brake parts on. And, hey, Timber Brothers. We can't get steel parts. I'm so sorry, neighbors. I did you dirty. These springs are working, so your handle might be a little bit floppy, neighbors. I'm so sorry. I'm going to service this all for free in 90 days, too, because I did you dirty. Because the hacker neighbors did us dirty, and I can't get a silly little $4 spring for your chain brake. I'm so sorry, neighbors. I don't have any. They're all bad. I got a whole stack of them. Watch John B's video. We tried making them work. They're just worn. They're just old. They're just a bad design. I'm trying to get the newer design for all of them. For all these saws. Okay, neighbors, so I will fix that for you. I promise. Timber Brothers. Thanks for forgiving me, neighbors. Thanks for being good neighbors, making my life better. Let me take her on your shit so I don't do drugs. Thank you so much, neighbors. Okay, this is a new needle cage bearing. It's aftermarket. They're metal, which seems to me to say that they'd be more durable, but I've always wondered if they cause more heat. I've never been able to find a proper answer. I do not know. Steel makes some metals and they make some plastic. Okay, we're just going to grease that on the inside. Go ahead and put that on. Now remember, you got your notch for your worm gear. Going to line that up for the Timber Brothers chainsaw. They're 025. Thank you, neighbors, for buying this saw. Can't see, neighbors. Okay. What are you hitting? What is going on? Here we go. We just got a little bit of rubbing somewhere. I'm just trying to figure out where. Okay. Now we're going to do our chain brake. Chain brake band. Oh, something's not lining up here, neighbors. Okay, we're having all kinds of problems here today in the shed shop. Try a different bearing. Maybe I grabbed, you know what? I think I did. I grabbed a needle cage bearing. Darn it. So sorry, neighbors, that I'm doing you dirty on this video. It's terrible. I'm going to spend all night editing it. I know I am. It's unfortunate. Okay, a little bit of grease on our needle cage bearing, and that goes on next. Then we got to line our worm gear up in our notch. Okay, there we go. Something seems off with our sprocket. I don't know. Chain brake band next. There's not enough room in there. Okay, neighbors, I have a problem. Something's not lining up right. Something's wrong. Alright, that was just a little human error. I thought something was wrong and it wasn't. I like to take my time. I get nervous sometimes. I speak too soon. But everything's good. Everything looks okay. We don't have any rubbing. Excuse me, rubbing. And I'm just going to sit here and make sure, over and over. I just want to make sure things are in the groove. Everything is right. Because this is definitely not a saw we want to send out to have an error. These boys are just starting their business out. I just do think there's a little, I just see a tiny, tiny variance in our sprocket as it spins the distance. But it's a steel OEM. There might be a little bit of a divot in it. But we'll see. We'll see once we test the saw. Because we're going to get up early in the morning. Or we can even run it in the middle of the night. Because we got great neighbors around here. Don't care if we run chainsaws all night. And we're going to test the saw. We're going to cut those logs that the Timber Brothers left in the backyard for us to test saws with. Because I don't have time to drag trees out of the woods. I don't have time to walk deck in the woods and cut wood. And there's terrible footage back there. I don't want to carry my phone and everything back there, neighbors. Okay, that was your retaining washer and your clip. Now, we can go ahead and put our dust cover on. Keep everything clean. We're going to use Loctite. No, we're not. We're not going to use Loctite because these are coming back off, darn it, because we got to replace the spring for the Timber Brothers. For brothers Davey and Blake and their new tree service, the Timber Brothers. They're going to put their information down below on their video. And they're going to tell you how you can get a hold of them. And you're going to give them a chance to cut your trees. And if they do a good job, neighbors, you're going to let me know so that we can tell the rest of the community that the Timber Brothers are doing a good job. Okay, neighbors, I found you a decent dust cover. And again, I'm not going to Loctite these because I know I have to take them back out when the steel dealer gets their system back up from the bad neighbor hackers. It's okay, neighbor hackers. Even though you make our lives better and you're being bad neighbors, we're going to forgive you. We're going to give you a chance to be better neighbors, damn it. Stop hacking. Get a real job. Come tinker with me. You can come wash parts. I'll pay you as saw sell. It can be commission-based, damn it. Stop making people's lives hard. Okay, we've snugged those bolts off. Good and tight. Listen, neighbors, I can't remember if I have bumper strips for your saw or not. I just can't remember, darn it. I'm so sorry. Did you dirty? Real dirty. Can't remember. Thought I had some out over here. Got all kinds, but I don't know which one's right. I got used ones here too. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good. They're just not pretty. Like these boys care about their saw being pretty on the inside that people can't see. But that's where we got to be the prettiest most. People aren't looking. These are not right, neighbors. Should have had them out. Nope, not right. Not right. I don't have the right ones, neighbors. I see. I can already tell. I don't have the right ones. Ah, here they are, neighbors. Yes, I do. Those should be it right there, neighbors. So many of them. I wish Steel would just make one for all our chainsaws. You're doing us dirty, Steel. Damn it. Not Steel, not the Steel employees, just the company. They're doing us dirty. Okay, neighbors? They're not doing us good. They're not good neighbors. They're not making our lives better. We should have one universal bumper strip for our Steel chainsaws. Oh, yeah. There we go, neighbors. Okay. There we go. Nice and pretty. New bumper strips. All right. Got the dust cover on. Everything over here is basically done. We got our sprocket cover. That's it. Okay, we're not going to put that on right now. Next, what we're going to do, neighbors, we're just going to look over everything, make sure we got everything right there. We're going to find us a good wrap handle that's got good rubbers. And if we have to replace any, we'll just stop the video. I do believe this one has the rubber up there. That should be a good rubber. I think I replaced that one with a new one. I did not, but it's in good condition. It's a little... Steel is killing me. Darn it. I need rubbers from the neighbors. I need full rubbers, not partials. Darn it. Okay, neighbors, I'm replacing your rubber because it's just a little bit, I don't like it. It's a little bit loose. I'm so sorry, neighbors. A little bit loose. I almost did you dirty. Goodness sakes. Give him a pat. Back. Stop being a bad neighbor, Saul. Damn it. Goodness. Damn, I should have. Okay, listen, neighbors, you can buy this whole assembly, but it's like $14. And the hackers made our lives hard. They're not being good neighbors. So I'm just going to replace the rubber. And it's essentially going to sit inside there with this stop. And that holds it all in there really tight. And these little prongs lock it in. Okay? And listen. I'm going to pause you. Alright, this video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. running into all kinds of problems, but that's okay, neighbors. We're going to keep persevering. I'm so sorry, neighbors. We got that rubber replaced. Now we're just putting our wrap handle on. Okay, just lining everything up. And then you're just going to have a screw here, 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 2 underneath, and 1 up here. Okay, now that we've screwed our wrap handle on, you guys, we're almost done. We're going to go ahead and put our recoil cover on. And these are a little bit tricky on this model sometimes. These neighbors have an 025. And I'm going to pick the nicest recoil for them. I think this one looks really nice. It could be cleaned a little bit better. But this was before we got this amazing CTS solvent from neighbor Jason up at Advanced. Thank you, neighbor Jason. You make our lives better. Thank you for being a good neighbor. Telling us about good products we found online and called you about. And you said, hey, I actually know somebody that uses that. Let's get a hold of them, see what they think. Jason called them for me. Just got to get this wire back in its spot, neighbors. He called the neighbor and asked him, how's this stuff work? What are the fumes like? What kind of parts washer do you use it in? Listen, neighbors, timber brothers, I'm not Loctite in any of your stuff, okay? Because you're right nearby. And I want to look at this saw in a week or so and see how it's doing after you do your next job. I just want to check it over, okay? I just want to make sure everything's good for you because you guys are working, making a living, okay? And I know you're just getting started out, neighbors, so you've got to have good equipment, okay? And listen, neighbors, if any of your saws break down, just call me, okay? If you're on a job and you need a saw, just call me, neighbors. You're buying shit from me. Of course I'm going to come help you, okay? I'll bring you a saw. Fix yours, whatever I got to do, damn it. And if I can't, I'll tell you I'm sorry I'm being a bad neighbor. Okay? Because I love you, neighbors. You're keeping me sober. This keeps me sober, neighbors. Okay. Let's turn these 4 bolts. And beautiful, neighbors, we've got our recoil tightened down. Now, basically all we have left on this saw is the bar and chain it up, but we've got to finish over here. There's a reason I left all this undone, is because I don't want to get the air filter dirty. I could have put the housing on. I don't know why I didn't, but you know what, neighbors? That's okay. We'll just grab us 2 of our carb bolts, our carb nuts here. Okay. 8mm nuts. Okay. We'll grab us an air filter housing. And that's basically going to be pretty much the end of the video. We'll put this on. Alright. We'll put an air filter on, which we have to modify a little bit. Because the problem is our aftermarket air filters, when we put them on, you see, John Luna and I, when John was here, we discovered, after off camera, I believe, John and I discovered we didn't think the air filter was hitting. But we just tinkered and we found out our air filter, aftermarket air filter, has little nubs on top that we got to get rid of. And so we're going to get rid of that for our neighbors. And it's going to work great. Okay, so you're just going to put that on. Put your 2 8mm bolts on. Tighten them down. Put your air filter on. It'll clip right in. I'm going to show you, neighbors. Don't worry. I just don't want to get everything dirty, so I'm going to grab a dirty filter. I think I got a dirty one here. I gotta find a dirty, vile, disgusting part. Because my hands are vile and dirty and filthy. They need to be cleaned. They need to be washed by the Lamb. Darn it. Hey, neighbors, I'm so excited that this box... Oh, no. I repent. Neighbor John. Don't let me forget you, neighbor. Scrunch and screwdriver with every sale. You too, neighbors. I'm going to teach you how to use this, okay? I know, neighbors. The repair specialist. Hey. If anybody's still here on this long video that I'm going to try and cut from an hour and a half down to about 35 minutes, don't let me forget to give you these. And the repair specialist. Go to the repair specialist. All one word, I believe. His channel is amazing on teaching you all about how a 2-stroke carburetor works. And I believe he has other carburetors on there. He does a phenomenal job. And so we should lift him up because he's being a good neighbor because he's actually helped me diagnose chainsaws by understanding better how my 2-stroke carburetor works. I know the basics. I know how to rebuild them. I know how they work. But, I mean, he just does it in a way that made me be able to think new. And so the repair specialist, neighbor, I know you got thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. But thank you, neighbor, for making my life better and my life easier, the repair specialist. He tells us his name. I repent, neighbor, that I don't remember your name. I haven't watched your videos in a while, so the Chainsaw Redeemer's just busy. Okay, so, also, darn it, I got to remember the neighbor that bought my $3.91. I repent. I didn't give you a scrunch or screwdriver, I don't think. Darn it, neighbor. But these guys are getting your $3.10. Thank you, neighbor. Thank you for trading that in at a good deal, neighbor, so that I can give them a good deal on these 2 saws, neighbor. Thank you, neighbor. You're making all our lives better by doing this, neighbors. All right, so essentially, you guys, I can't find an air filter. My hands are dirty. I don't want to touch their clean air filter, but it just snaps on there. 2 little clips. We're going to tighten all that down. We're going to go test this saw. We're actually probably going to test it right now. It's the middle of the night. It's 12 o'clock at night, you guys. And my neighbor's so cool. I'm going to go run a chainsaw and cut these logs that these boys brought me. Thank you, neighbors. That's going to be it. Hey, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so when you know when I'm putting out all kinds of crazy new content. And guess what, neighbors? I'm going to give shit away on this channel, but you got to subscribe. And you got to follow my messy instructions, at least to the best of your ability. If you follow the crazy, confusing instructions and try, and I think you've tried, listen, neighbor, if you made a mistake, I say, hey, you missed this step. And as long as you do it, neighbor, I'm going to give you shit, okay? I just want to give you stuff. Thank you, neighbors, for making my lives better, letting me tinker, buying my stuff, bringing me stuff, and keeping me sober so I don't go beat the shit out of Brock in Maine for putting his hands on my son, Braden. Brock, you're a bad neighbor, damn it. I don't forgive you yet. I'm still angry. You put your hands on my son. You're a bad neighbor. Damn it. That's going to be it until the next video, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. I love you guys, neighbors.